Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pause for a moment. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, who is the voice that speaks to you the most every day? It's not your parents, your friends, your teachers, or even your boss. It's you. It's your own mind whispering thoughts into your head every waking hour. Now here's the real question. Is that voice building you up or tearing you down? The truth is simple yet profound. Your mind can be your best friend, or it can be your worst enemy. And the difference lies not in what life throws at you, but in how you train that mind to respond. We've all been there, moments of self-doubt, fear, insecurity, comparison. That inner critic can be louder than the crowd cheering for you. It can drown out progress with perfectionism, sabotage growth with fear, and mask potential with excuses. But here's what most people forget. You have the power to choose what that voice says. You have the power to flip the script. Let's talk about power, not the kind that comes from money or fame, but the silent, invisible power that shapes your destiny, your thoughts. Every success story began in the mind. Every failure did too. Your reality is not defined by your circumstances, it's defined by your mindset. If your mind is filled with scarcity, you'll never feel like you have enough. If it's filled with fear, you'll always find a reason not to try. But if it's trained to see challenges as opportunities, failure as feedback, and discomfort as growth, you become unstoppable. Think of your mind as a garden. If you plant seeds of confidence, hope, determination, and love, you'll reap strength, clarity, and peace. But if you let weeds grow doubt, negativity, resentment, they'll choke the life out of your dreams. The scariest thing is, most people never realize that they're the gardener. They blame the weather, the soil, the seasons, everything but the fact that they didn't take control of the tools in their hands. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. No one is born with a perfectly disciplined, positive, unshakable mind. It takes work. It takes intention. It takes brutal honesty, because the mind doesn't naturally default to growth. It defaults to survival. That's where fear comes in. That's where comfort zones develop. That's where we start convincing ourselves, I can't, I'm not good enough, what if I fail? But here's the breakthrough. Those thoughts are not facts, they're habits, and habits can be changed. There's a story about a young boy who used to get bullied in school. He was quiet, shy, and constantly told by his classmates that he would never amount to anything. Over time, he started to believe them. Every morning, he woke up and looked in the mirror and saw someone who wasn't good enough. That voice in his head repeated what the bullies said again and again, until one day someone gave him a book on the power of self-talk. It was simple stuff. Daily affirmations, gratitude journaling, replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. He laughed at first. It sounded silly, but he had nothing to lose, so he tried. Weeks turned into months, and something started to shift. He began showing up differently, speaking louder, standing taller. The bullies didn't change, but his mind did. And when that changed, everything changed. That boy, he grew up to be a successful entrepreneur, but not because he was lucky, not because someone saved him, but because he saved himself by changing the way he talked to his own mind. That's the power we all have. The mind is like a mirror. Whatever you show it, it reflects. Feed it fear and it will paralyze you. Feed it faith and it will push you forward. Let's get real here. How many of you have dreams you've put on hold because of fear? How many times have you talked yourself out of taking a risk because you assumed you'd fail? And how many hours have you spent overthinking, comparing yourself, doubting yourself, until the opportunity passed you by? We've all done it. The harsh truth is, the enemy wasn't out there. It wasn't the economy, the competition, or your circumstances. It was the voice in your own head telling you you're not ready. That voice is your enemy, but it can also become your friend. You don't have to wait for success to believe in yourself. You don't have to wait for validation to feel worthy. The mind that once whispered fear can be trained to scream confidence. But how do you do that? Start by becoming aware of your thoughts. Most people live on autopilot. They don't even realize how toxic their inner dialogue is. Stop and listen. What are you telling yourself every day? Are you kind to yourself? Are you patient with yourself? Or are you beating yourself up for not being perfect? Awareness is the first step to transformation. Next, challenge the lies. If you think I'm not good enough, ask yourself, according to who? If you think I'll never make it, ask yourself, what if I do? Your mind may be a master storyteller, but you control the script. Write one that empowers you, one that lifts you, one that keeps you moving even when everything in you wants to quit. Then, feed your mind the right fuel. What you read, watch, listen to, it all matters. Surround yourself with positivity. Listen to stories of people who defied the odds. Read books that inspire growth. Cut out the noise that brings you down. Protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Another powerful tool, gratitude. It's scientifically proven to rewire the brain. When you focus on what's working instead of what's missing, your perspective changes. You stop seeing life as a series of problems and start seeing it as a series of possibilities. Gratitude turns a scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset. And above all, be patient with yourself. The journey to mastering your mind is not a straight path. You will fall. You will struggle. You will hear that old voice trying to pull you back. But the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Even if you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, you're still moving, you're still growing, you're still winning. Let's talk about the flip side. What happens when you don't train your mind? When you let fear run the show? When you let doubt dictate your decisions? It starts small, avoiding opportunities, shrinking in the face of challenges, staying in jobs or relationships that drain you. But over time, it becomes a lifestyle, a life of quiet frustration, a life full of regret. That's the cost of letting your mind become your enemy. And no dream is worth that price. Imagine what could happen if you flipped that. If your mind became your best friend, your greatest motivator, your most loyal supporter, your inner coach cheering you on even when no one else does. That's not fantasy, that's available to you right now. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you've been through, or what others think of you. You have the power to choose how your mind works for you. Think about the greatest athletes, artists, leaders, innovators. Yes, they had talent. Yes, they worked hard, but above all, they mastered their mindset. They pushed past fear. They used failure as fuel. They chose belief over doubt again and again. That's not luck, that's mental discipline. That's training your mind to be your friend, not your foe. You were not born to play small. You were not meant to live at the mercy of your fears. You were built to rise, to shine, to grow. And everything you need to do that is already inside you. You just need to unlock it by mastering your inner world. So, as you walk away from this moment, remember this. The voice in your head is powerful. Make sure it speaks life, not limitation. Make sure it cheers you on, not tears you down. Make sure it fuels your fire, not your fear. Your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. The choice is yours. And the time is now. Your mind is a powerful tool. It can either push you towards success or pull you into self-destruction based on how you train and guide it. Think of your mind as the control center of your life. Every thought that passes through it has the potential to shape your beliefs, influence your actions, and ultimately build or break the life you live. Just like a sharp blade can be used to carve beauty or cause harm, your mind's power can be a force of creation or destruction. If trained with discipline, focus, and positivity, your mind becomes a launch pad. It starts to seek solutions instead of excuses. It pushes you through discomfort, reminds you of your goals, and helps you stand tall even when the world tries to knock you down. It becomes your most loyal supporter, constantly whispering, "You can do this." When everyone else doubts you, it becomes your inner engine, driving you to pursue excellence even on the days you feel like giving up. But when left unchecked, untrained, and fed with negativity, your mind turns on you. It begins to criticize you more than any stranger ever could. It convinces you that you're not good enough, smart enough, strong enough. It magnifies your flaws, highlights your failures, and keeps you trapped in cycles of overthinking and self-doubt. That same tool that could build your dreams becomes the very thing that slowly destroys them. This is why so many people remain stuck, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they never learn to master their mind. They live at the mercy of thoughts that were never challenged. They carry beliefs that were never chosen. And instead of driving their own destiny, they let fear steer the wheel. But here's the truth: you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker. You are the one who decides which thoughts to believe, which ones to act on, and which ones to let go. That is your power. When you realize that, you stop being a victim of your mind and start becoming its master. So, ask yourself, what kind of tool is your mind right now? Is it helping you grow, or is it holding you back? Is it working for you, or are you working for it? Because the quality of your life is not determined by chance, but by the quality of the thoughts you allow to guide it. Train your mind, feed it well, guard it fiercely. Because once you learn to use your mind as your greatest ally, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stand in your way. The thoughts you allow to dominate your mind become the foundation of your reality. Let that sink in, not your circumstances, not your background, not what other people think or say about you. It's the thoughts you dwell on day in and day out that shape the world you experience. Your mind is constantly building. Every thought is like a brick, and over time, those bricks form the structure you live inside: your beliefs, your habits, your confidence, your fears. If your dominant thoughts are empowering, I am capable, I am enough, I am in control of my life, you begin to move through the world with intention and strength. You start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You respond to failure with resilience instead of retreat. But if your mind is filled with thoughts like "I'm not smart enough," "this always happens to me," or "what's the point in trying," then that becomes your reality too. You build a mental prison with invisible bars, and worst of all, you hold the key without even realizing it. Because the truth is, the brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's repeated. The more you repeat a thought, any thought, the more your brain accepts it as truth. That's how people become trapped in patterns they hate but can't break, not because they're weak, but because they've allowed certain thoughts to take root and grow. And those roots go deep, shaping their sense of self, their choices, and their outcomes. You see, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, through the lens of our thoughts. Two people can face the exact same situation. One sees a challenge and grows. The other sees a wall and gives up. The difference, it's not luck, it's mindset, it's what they've allowed to dominate their mental space. So the question is, what kind of reality are you building with your thoughts? What kind of internal dialogue are you entertaining when no one's watching? Because what you repeat in your mind day after day becomes the story you live out. If you want to change your life, you must first change the narrative in your head. Start choosing thoughts that build you. Replace judgment with compassion. Swap fear for curiosity. Trade helplessness for responsibility. The moment you begin to intentionally direct your thoughts, you start laying a new foundation, one built not on limitation, but on possibility. Remember, your mind is the architect, your thoughts are the blueprints, and your life is the structure. Choose your design wisely. Self-awareness, discipline, and belief in your own worth are the keys to transforming your mind into your greatest ally. These are not just buzzwords or motivational catchphrases. They are the pillars that hold up the mindset of every person who has risen above fear, doubt, and limitation. Let's start with self-awareness. It's the ability to observe your own thoughts without judgment. It's stepping outside the noise in your head and asking, why am I thinking this? Is this thought serving me or sabotaging me? Most people live in reaction. They feel anxiety, fear, insecurity, and they assume that's just the way life is. But self-awareness puts you back in control. It helps you identify patterns that no longer serve you, beliefs that were passed down or picked up along the way, but never questioned. It shines a light on the blind spots that are quietly running your life. And once you become aware of something, you gain the power to change it. Next comes discipline, because awareness without action is meaningless. Discipline is what transforms intention into reality. It's the muscle you build every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you replace a destructive thought with a constructive one, every time you silence the inner critic and take the next step anyway. Discipline is not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's the daily commitment to training your mind like a warrior trains their body deliberately, consistently, and with purpose. There will be days when your mind fights back, when it begs for the comfort of old patterns. That's when discipline steps in and says, not today. That's when change really begins. And perhaps the most important piece of all, belief in your own worth. Because no matter how much you work on your habits, your goals, your skills, if deep down you don't believe you're worthy of a better life, your mind will always find a way to sabotage your progress. Worthiness isn't something you earn through achievements. It's something you claim because you were born with it. You don't have to prove your value to anyone. The moment you truly accept that you are enough, not perfect, but enough, everything shifts. You stop begging for validation. You stop settling for less. And you begin showing up in the world with quiet confidence, knowing that you deserve to take up space, to pursue your dreams, to live fully and freely. When you combine these three, self-awareness, discipline, and self-worth, you create a mental ecosystem that supports your growth instead of resisting it. Your mind becomes a place of clarity, resilience, and focus. Instead of working against you, it starts working with you. It becomes the coach that keeps you going when you're tired, the compass that brings you back when you're lost, and the shield that protects you from negativity, both from within and from others. You can't always control the world around you, but you can absolutely master the world within you. And that mastery starts with knowing yourself, training your mind with intention, and standing firmly in your worth. That's how your mind becomes not just a tool, but your most trusted companion, your greatest ally, your true superpower.